So this means these two parameters should be integrated in a modern dental restorative material, in my opinion. So the first one, the light transmission, can be measured on different ways. The way we choose is the photospectrometer with an integrated sphere. This means we were interested how much light does pass through a specimen. And we fabricated a specimen, or 40 specimen of several materials, and we put this specimen in front of the integrated sphere here. The integrated sphere is a bolt sensor that covers or gets all light that is transmitted through the specimen, not only in direct direction here, but also the scattered light here. So this means light passes on the specimen, is absorbed here, some of the light is reflected, and some is transmitted in the integrated sphere. And this is how we measured the translucency here. And the translucency was measured between 400 and 700 nanometers here, and for each 2 nanometers, one percentage value of the light transmission was calculated, was measured, and then for each material a specific graph could be observed, could be shown, and we could compare now the material under each other for each wavelength, but also the overall transmission here. So the overall transmission was calculated as the integration below the graph, and then a percentage value of light transmission could be observed for each material. So this is the results, and you see that we used not only a resin nanoceramics or a glass ceramic. This glass ceramic was our control group, and you see that about 50% of light transmits a glass ceramic in a level or in a thickness of 1 millimeter. And now you see that other polymers, CAD-CAM fabricated polymers, only showing a light transmission of about 30–34%. So that means 2/3 of the light does not pass the specimen. And on the other side, same basis of the material, the unfilled PMMA, offers a translucency that is even higher than the glass ceramic in our study here. So this means it's not about the material, it's about the specific connection, it's about the specific composition of the material. And this means the huge range of material, each material has to be considered. There's not possible to get some groups here. This means each material that we use clinically, we have to understand light transmission and optical properties. Okay, so we have the range of filled composite and the resin nanoceramic about the area, a little bit less translucent than the glass ceramic. So about 48%. And this is what you see here in the blocks. These are the CEREC blocks, just photographed with light from above, below here. And you see that this is the glass ceramic part here, this is lithium disilicate, this is the hybrid material area. And you see that about 50% of light comes through 1 millimeter, but the thicker the material, of course, less light is transmitted. Okay, this is a beautiful picture, but even more beautiful it gets if we turn down the light a little bit and put some black light on that. This is done with the Nikon twin flashes and the fluorized filter, and you see that we have quite different results here in the fluorescence of the materials. Again, a beautiful picture, but not really scientific. And of course, these are the blocks. So we were interested, how do they behave as restorations? And I had the chance to spend a couple of months at the University of Southern California together with these two guys here. Most of you might know him. This is Pascal Magne and Jack Goldberg, a young resident doing his internship there at the department. And you see that we discussed a lot about colors. And not only about the colors of the shoes, but only about restorative materials. So what we wanted to know is how is the potential, how big is the potential of the optical integration of CAD/CAM blocks. And this is what we did. It's about MO inlays. This means mesio-occlusal inlays. We need some space of the tooth to have a restoration on, and we wanted to compare around the tooth. And you'll see the preparation later on. We used the natural tooth and replaced the standardized MO inlays from different materials with a glycerin jelly. Under 4 different light conditions, 6 experienced examiners, dentists and dental technicians evaluated blindly the optical integration score of the restoration. This means 0 is the restoration is easily visible, the first glance, and 4 is the restoration is practically invisible. So this was, our hypothesis was that there is no difference between the materials. These are the 4 light conditions. The first light conditions, again, we used the Nikon photography with the twin flashes from above. So all pictures were taken from the occlusal direction, and we had the unfiltered light in direct illumination. This was the first pictures were taken then, resulting in a kind of natural image. This is the natural tooth. Then the indirect illumination, unfiltered light, this means the bracket flashes were positioned side by side of the teeth. Again, the natural tooth under kind of translucent illumination. Thirdly, direct illumination with fluorescent light. We put black light on the tooth and then the fluorized filter, and the same thing with the polarized filter. And then we saved these pictures, we stored that pictures, we noted the modification of the cameras, of the pictures, and then we prepared. This is the preparation, already covered with CEREC powder. Then we scanned it with the CEREC BlueCam, and this image gives us now the possibility to create one standardized data set to fabricate the inlays from. And then again we placed the inlays with the glycerin jelly, and we now evaluated this. This means the examiners, the evaluators received in a sheet of paper with, in the upper line, the natural tooth, and in the lower line there was the same illuminations but with the placed inlays here. And then they could compare and could say, okay, from 0 to 4 to integrate, to evaluate the optical integration score. So I pick out some of the results here. This is about the glass ceramic material, about the lithium disilicate ceramic, the resin nanoceramic, and the composite here. So we have from each group, we have one material here which we can compare in a little bit wider picture. So this is the first direct illumination under natural light. And what we see is that we see almost nothing. This means all materials show a high degree of optical integration here. Some a little bit brighter, some a little bit darker, some very close to the natural tooth, and I think not really bad, not really a bad result in here. So this displays the optical integration score about 3.5. Okay, let's go to the next illumination. This is the indirect illumination from beside. This means the bracket flashes were positioned here and here. And you see that the natural light, the natural tooth, it transmits the light really smoothly into the middle. But what we see for all the restorative materials is that as soon as we integrate an optical border here between the tooth and the material, we can clearly identify the margins of the restorations here. So, and this means optical integration is not that good anymore, okay? Between 1.5 and 2. So, now you can say, okay, we just placed the glycerin jelly. Maybe there's potential to, should I say, to advance this or to make this a little bit better when we really create kind of an adhesive bonding here. We'll test that, but, or we would have liked to test that, but to remove the inlay, bad thing. Next thing is the direct illumination with the polarized light. And again, what you see here, the polarized light does not really show any differences here. Again, a great optical integration here. But I think after we did the study, we said, okay, polarized light is probably not the thing or not the parameter to evaluate the optical integration possibility. But again, you knew it from the other picture before. Let's go to the last illumination, and this is about the fluorescent light. So here you see that again, the natural tooth shows quite high fluorescency. The milled glass ceramic, all translucent ceramic, translucency HT, A2, shows a little bit higher fluorescency. Then we have the lithium disilicate. Can we shut down the light a little bit? Possible? Obviously not, okay. So and then we can see the differences a little bit more. What you see is that the fluorescency here and here suffers a little bit. So this means here we get it a little bit, oh thank you. This gets a little bit greenish here, and this exhibits almost no fluorescence here. And I can tell you this is the predecessor, kind of the predecessor of the resin nanoceramic here. This is the MC100 composite material, and maybe 3MSP a little bit overcompensated the translucency here, and you see that this is kind of over translucent. The question now is, does it cause difficulties in the clinic? I don't think it does. But what might cause problems is a lack of translucency or low level of translucency, making the restorations appear a little bit darker. So this is what brings me to the end. Again, here the optical integration score, of course, for the resin nanoceramic not that high, but the big difference is, of course, I can see this inlay as good as this here, but the optical integration score is about the same. So this means we use, or we searching for a new evaluation method considering the light value. This means the value of the translucency, of the fluorescency. This means low or high values here. I will bring you to the next IADR. I bring the next results here, and I want to conclude with one sentence. The potential of optical integration of resin nanoceramic restorations seems to be comparable to that of ceramic materials. And I conclude this because the resin nanoceramic exhibited a comparable level of translucency, like glass ceramic. Secondly, under direct and indirect illumination with natural light and polarized light, no difference in the optical integration score could be observed. Restorative materials differed significantly in the level of fluorescence, and the resin nanoceramic exhibited the highest level of fluorescence under the examined materials. So this means, beside other factors which I mentioned before, of course we have to know the optical potential or the optical integration property of a monolithic material. And this will help us to assure an optimal match for our individual patient. And then you see that I do not only work in the lab. These are, I show you some clinical cases. These are restorations from hybrid materials we placed 1.5 years ago. And you see that if we place or if we use a monolithic material, we need a good dental technician with a good feeling for the surface here to create some kind of life. And the high fluorescence potential helps us here to play with the light and to play with the material. Again, the translucency also very important here. Same patient, again this patient. And I'd like to thank, of course, the team here. This is Pascal Magne, Daniel Edelhoff, Josef Schweiger, Jack Goldberg, and Bogdan Stavacic for supporting me. And thank you for the invitation, and thank you for your kind attention on a Friday afternoon.